Hello, everybody, and welcome to Media Club. I'm going to be your host this week, Alec Babko, and joining me is Austin, Chris,
Hello.
and LeighErin.
Hi.
Got something a little bit different for you guys today. Instead of reviewing a new Disney Plus show, we're going to be going back and doing a little spoiler cast of National Treasure.
Of course, let's go.
New movie. I don't know if y'all have heard of it.
Yeah, Chris.
Also on Disney Plus.
You, in our botched recording, you had started us off with some childhood memories of this movie, so I'll just kick us off again.
So yeah, maybe something happened in the recording. Maybe we've already done the first 20 minutes of the podcast already. Who knows? You know what I mean?
Who's to say?
Who's to say, really? Not me. You know,
Hello.
they don't know. We know. They don't know.
I'll say it. I'll do it.
But yeah, this is, I think, just one of my all-time favorite movies. Like, I could probably put it top 5, just kind of in general.
Which is high praise.
Which is maybe, I don't know, coming from me. But it's what, like, this in conjunction with like Indiana Jones is kind of what kind of sparked my interest in the adventure genre. This is one of those movies where it's like, after I saw it in theaters, I loved it and got the DVD and watched it over and over and over again, because I watched it so much that I wanted to get into like the special features of it and stuff, and started it. And it's one of those movies, along with Pirates of the Caribbean, funny enough, another Bruckheimer movie, and Star Wars and a few other films, that really got me interested in how films are made and those sorts of things, which I do think is kind of like one of those early dominoes that kind of puts me to where I am as a content creator, where I talk about things that I love on a semi-critical level, you know. I don't think without this movie I would be here doing this legitimately.
No, that is high praise.
I do think it is one of those, and it's stupid, dumb fun in all the best ways, and I love it. There's an invisible map on the back of the Declaration of Independence. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Totally. Yeah, and up until that point, like rewatching this movie, I was like, because you see the snow scene, you see the Charlotte scene, and I'm like, maybe I've grown out of this movie. And then we get to that scene where he's like, I'm going to steal it. I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence, and I'm like, fuck,
go, dude.
I'm in. I'm totally in again. Why?
It is so funny that you said that at the beginning they threw that it's like, maybe October, because even through that I was loving it, because the dialogue in the opening sequence where on the Charlotte, not the best, and I don't care. My favorite thing, and this was something that we talked about on another podcast that I was on. Funny enough, the first guest spot I ever did on a podcast, it's not that terrible, talked about National Treasure anyway. To where they get the Charlotte, or they get the pipe, they're looking through the clue, and then Nicolas Cage just starts kind of pulling all of the answers out of thin air for absolutely how he manages to correlate all these things. I have no idea, but it's hilarious. Him like verbally word searching, and it's so serious and so ludicrous at the same time.
I love how everyone else on the Charlotte is just staring at him like, you can do it. You got this.
You can do it. You got it.
And at one point, he's like, it's fine. It's absolute. It's not stupid. It's mineral. That's
mineral.
Stupid.
Yeah, he's like, no.
He's like, no.
Hold on.
That's the one. I can see how he got from each one, because I got a weird little brain that jumps around like that. I can see how he got from one to one.
That's a neurodivergent thing for sure.
But then we got to the that it's a mineral, and I was like, okay, you lost me here.
I mean, he agreed. He agreed. He was like, nope, that's stupid.
And then he goes, no, wait, hold on. Because iron is a mineral. That's always how I correlated that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I did love that one guy being like, because it is prison, because Iron Pants prison. And then Riley's like, Albuquerque. See, I can do
Snorkel.
it too.
I love when it comes to that henchman, and he goes, because it's a prison. Because he's like, bitter that nobody took his idea seriously. I'm like, oh, buddy, you're gonna murder somebody later on, but like, sorry, Alex.
Yeah. So I was looking at the trivia, just fun facts and all that, and they said that Albuquerque and the snorkel that Riley said is actually a reference to a Weird Al Yankovic song.
Of course it is.
Is it just because he was improvising and that's what he thought of in the moment, or were those the lines?
I don't know.
Weird Al has a song called Albuquerque, so it's
yes.
And I get that, but I'm just wondering if he improv'd and that song was in his head, so he pulled from that during it.
I mean, it's 2004, probably.
Yeah.
Which is funny. Weird Al was still putting out a lot of music at that time. And
Speaking of Riley, one of us here apparently had a sexual awakening for Riley. What?
I mean, I think we can all guess who that is, Austin.
It's me.
Yes, I remember going to see this movie. This was like what you did as an 8-year-old girl when it was your birthday. All your friends came to your home for dinner, or you went somewhere like Applebee's to dinner.
Pizza.
And then you went to see a movie, and then you had a sleeveover, and that was just like how.
That's what I did as a 15-year-old boy. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's like a switch made where like boys start doing that around the time girls have stopped doing that about their birthdays. But anyways, that was what you did, and we went to see National Treasure. We all became. God,
they're more mature. That's all there is to it.
Way smarter. Yeah, that's
that too.
Or we also get the whole thing of like we can have sweet 16s, and a lot of girls are really into that. So like, I don't know why I said it like an alien like that.
Well, I mean, your sexual awakening was Riley Poole. I think mine was Diane Kruger because like that was like the first crush. That's the first crush I can like remember. Yeah. And then apparently, and then Sean Bean's in this movie too, and he's a great looking dude, right?
Yeah, he is, man. Oh my gosh.
I'll say it again. I don't care. My dad probably won't get mad about this. My mom has a huge crush on Sean Bean. She talks about it all the time. It's him and Ray.
Actually, not. Yeah, I mean, also great hair. I mean, he'd basically left the set of Lord of the Rings to come do this movie, so he's still got the long hair and everything.
Long hair, great voice. And I said it on the botched recording, or maybe that recording that doesn't exist. Who knows? But I said it before. This movie was essentially full of sexual awakenings and hot people, and then Nick Cage. So it's just like,
awesome. Nick Cage is there.
It's funny. He nails the role. He's just not as good looking as the other three,
and he's perfect for the role too. It is absolutely perfect for this because he can say something completely ludicrous with a stone cold face, and I
believe it. You're like, he knows what he's talking about,
but he can't
because Nick Cage thinks it's because Nick Cage thinks it is so serious, and it's so I shit on male actors all the time, and like that's just kind of what happens when you go to school for theater. But I love male actors who take everything they do so seriously, because in really serious roles it's good, but in comedic roles or like more calm movies, it's really fucking funny. It's like really enjoyable.
It's beautiful. It's like you've got that and like Vin Diesel, you know, who takes his movies way too seriously, and they way more than he needs to, and that makes them made 10 incredible
Fast Furious movies.
I saw a TikTok the other day. I don't remember the context at all, but it was just someone pretending to be Vin Diesel, and he's like, I gotta go to space, I gotta do it, and he's like, there's no oxygen up there. He's like, I got family, and he just rocked. It's like, family. It's just so funny. It's so dumb.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Love it. Yes, truly the set had to be just a bunch of hot people, and then Nick Cage in one corner and John Voight in the other.
John Voight. Can't go through all this and not mention him as well. So.
Yeah. Speaking of crazy.
Well, because he's just a bananas guy to have in a kids movie. Like, it's just a bananas choice on Disney's part to be like John Voight. That's who's going to be in this movie.
Sometimes I forget that it's a Disney movie.
Yeah. So okay, before we get into more plot-based stuff, I got some facts for you guys. Directed by John Turteltaub. I don't know how to pronounce that. There's a lot
John Turtlebob. Got it.
Wait, is that who J.K. Simmons plays in BoJack Horseman? Is that the joke? He's Lenny Turtlebob. Oh,
no idea.
Guys, come on, it's so good.
Sorry,
it's on my list.
I've only heard good things.
It is my favorite television show, like above all else. It is so good. Everyone should watch BoJack Horseman. It literally that. I would not have made it through college without BoJack Horseman. I found BoJack Horseman the first week freshman year, and I would not have gotten through all 4 years of college without that show. Like, that show means so much to me. Anyways.
Okay. Budget of $100 million and box office of $347.5h million. So made 3 times this money.
In 2004, that's pretty good.
That's a big deal.
Really good.
And I mean, you can definitely see where that budget went, just as far as sets and practical effects, man. Because it's like 98% practical, and it's really impressive for that.
And just some overall facts of the movie. This movie includes the first footage, includes footage from the first filming allowed in the tower of Philadelphia's Independence Hall.
Fancy.
Diane Kruger did
a lot of it filmed on site. Yeah.
On site.
Oh yeah.
Which is always like freak me
Go
out.
ahead.
What if he broke
I'm going on to
something?
the next thing. Yeah.
Okay, what if you broke something? Like, that would be my biggest fear as an actor. Is like, I bump into shit all the time. I'm going to bump into something. Like, they're in the room where the Declaration of Independence was signed. I'm going to break something. I don't think it's safe for us to.
That's why they had everything pushed against the walls.
Yeah, LeighErin's there acting, and she's extremely stiff because she's like, I can't back up. I cannot back up. I can't do it.
I cannot move.
Her the entire movie.
Can I make a quick aside about that?
Yeah, sure.
Just
No.
them, like them pulling. No. About them pulling out. Like it's like one. I love the scene where he's like, "Wow, like the last time this was here, it was being signed." Like that. Like that's cool. But something that I noticed on this rewatch of the movie, is that they spent so long, leading up to the part where they're up, like trying to reveal the map on the back of the Declaration, like talking about, okay, it's very fragile. Please be very careful with it. Don't touch, don't move it around too much. Every other time past that point where they pull the Declaration out, they fucking manhandle that shit. It's hilarious. It's folded up. They're pulling it out in the middle of churches and just kind of hanging it and bending it. And I'm like, what?
It should have ripped in the church.
Totally. I thought it should have ripped when they like put it on the table. I was like, they would have ripped this totally.
I've seen the Declaration of Independence. I've been to DC, and one again that also shot on location. That's the room when he walks in and says, "I'm going to steal it." That's the room. That thing looks like you could breathe on it wrong and it'll fall apart, man. There's absolutely no way that she's holding on to it, and also the side of a van, and it's keeping that structural integrity. Like, no way.
It'll fall apart, man. Sounded like Shaggy.
That's a compliment or not?
It's neither. It just was very funny to me.
Okay.
Speaking of that car chase, Diane Kruger actually did most of her own stunt work during that scene.
This is really impressive.
This is
good looking in the boss.
Yeah,
man.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
So in the movie, when John Adams Gates is telling young Benjamin Franklin Gates about
his name is John Adams?
Yeah, they're all
That's his
named
grandpa.
after. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I knew that. I never heard the grandfather's name. The grandfather's name is John Adams.
I only knew that.
Named after presidents.
Yep.
Like their full names. So John Adams, Benjamin Franklin,
and Patrick.
I don't think Patrick's named after anything. I think that's supposed to be that he doesn't get
Skips generations.
He doesn't get it.
Every other.
In the Gates family, we don't name our children until they accept the.
I just had no idea. I literally never heard the guy. I've seen this movie a million times. I had no idea the grandfather's name was John Adams Gates. That's so fucking funny to me.
It's one of those things where, like, if I didn't know, which I did, because I think I remember one time I watched it on Amazon Prime or something. I think that's the one where it shows all the names of the people as you're watching it.
Oh, yeah.
But
gotcha.
If you would have said that, which you did, and it's like John Adams Gates, I've been like, yep, that makes sense. Like, totally.
Oh, yeah, his name is Benjamin Franklin Gates.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in the movie, when John Adams Gates is talking to young Benjamin Franklin Gates about the treasure, he says, they knew they had to make sure the treasure would never fall into the hands of the British, so they devised a series of clues and maps of its location. The whole course of the movie involves keeping the clues and treasure away from Ian, who is British.
Oh, that's awesome, but I lied. His name in the show is Patrick Henry Gates, and Patrick Henry was a founding father.
Yep.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
it doesn't skip generations after all.
I'd never put two and two that British connection. That's really funny.
Patrick Henry is the man who said, "Give me liberty or give me death."
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right.
I can't remember if it was in the botch recording or if we said it this time around, so I'm just going to say it again. While Gates is attempting to decipher the first clue on board the Charlotte, after Shaw suggests prison, Riley says Albuquerque. See, I can do it too. Snorkel. This is a reference to the 1998 Weird Al Yankovic song, Albuquerque, which talks about a man's journey to Albuquerque to retrieve his lucky snorkel.
All right.
Love it.
Super cool.
It's also just one of my favorite jokes in the whole movie.
Okay, also part of the reason it's so funny is because he's in this massive puffer coat with this giant black hood with fur, and he just goes, Albuquerque. Like, he doesn't move his arms, he just turns.
I'm so glad you said that too. Because there's that point just before that too, where he's like, what are we doing out here? How's the shift wind way out here? It's like, well, I'm no expert, but it is like I assume that the climate change would cause it to freeze and then melt and then refreeze, resulting in a migrating landmass that would land a ship right around here. And then he goes and walks off.
Body language is a thing, ladies and gentlemen.
In that coat, he Batman's it the whole time.
Yeah, totally.
And like I said, I love the vibe of Riley in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about this in the botched recording, or the one that doesn't exist. But I think Riley is like an enigma in this movie because he's all three things. He's comic relief, he's the audience, and he's an established character. Like usually you get like one of those, and then the character itself kind of falls short a little bit. Like they don't have enough personality. Mm-hmm. He is all three of those, and he nails all of them. And he deserves more credit for this movie.
And it never feels forced at any point in time.
Natural.
Like he somehow manages to kind of thread that needle between it all, and it's really excellent writing, and then performance on the actor's part. Like it's just
that's why he comes on screen and he says this whole thing and goes, "But don't trust me, I broke an aglet this morning," and they all look at him and he's like, "It's supposed to be bad luck," and I was like, this is what I love. Like it's like when Steve Harrington walked on in Stranger Things. I was like, "You're my favorite. You're gonna be my favorite for the rest of the time. You and Howard. Like we're good. We're done."
All right, two more quick ones. One can purchase National Treasure at the actual National Archives gift shop.
That's cool.
I can confirm that. Yeah, I saw it. Cool. My family lived in DC for a little while, and so when I went to visit, of course, I had to see the monuments and everything.
Yeah,
and we did visit the archives, and they do in fact have it in the gift shop there still. Oh no, I should have grabbed it before we started recording. Oh, I might have to go get it. Continue without me. I'll be right back.
Yep.
All right.
Real quick before you leave, say one of the few movies where Sean Bean's character doesn't die.
It is one of the few movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't a Disney movie, his character would have died. So, like,
oh yeah,
let's be real.
I mean, he's going to prison, so.
And somebody does die a very graphic death. I mean, we'll get there, but like, I watched that scene last night. I was like, what the fuck?
You mean the dude that falls?
Plummets to his death, yeah.
I mean, this is just like our other spoiler cast, so let's just go.
I mean, that man just plummets to his death, and 7-year-old me didn't question it.
Nope,
like, yeah, sucks to suck.
Just an endless pit.
They Disneyfied it, where it's just black.
Right? But was it just me, or could you hear a thud? I could have swore I heard a thud.
I don't recall.
I could have swore I heard a thud, but
I hope there is a thud.
I hope so too. I hope for that man that there is a thud.
And you just hear.
However,
I think you fall that far, you're not going to be alive.
I know. You could be. People bounce from skydiving and failing. They bounce and be alive.
It happens. Terrifying. I hate that so much. I hate it.
Chris, just for your reference, we were just talking about the dude that plummets to his death down the
yeah,
it's fucked up.
He's so happy about it.
Like, well, where this was Sean. This is one of the only movies Sean Bean doesn't die in. And I was like, that's only because it's a Disney movie.
He does still go to jail at the end. So I mean,
that's literally what Alex said.
Yep,
the Iron Pen, if you will.
So, but I'm just like, I could have swore.
It's very unfortunate to be Sean Bean in a movie.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say, I could have swore I heard a thud when that guy, like, he goes into the blackness, and then like a couple seconds later, you hear a thud.
Oh, that'd be dark.
I could be wrong.
It was dark.
In Tarzan, when fucking nice. It's like in Tarzan when you fucking see Clayton hanging in the fucking shadow.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
totally.
And then he's hanging, and it's like Disney every once in a while was like, let's fuck up some kids.
They have a track record of subtle stuff where it's just like, oof. Okay.
I mean, every now and then they're just like, oh, damn, that's kind of extreme. Like even like the opening to the Haunted Mansion, there's a point where you're on the stretching room, they call it. You look up and there's a dude hanging from the ceiling.
That occurred to me when I was there last time.
Bambi.
Yeah, but do you watch? I've never seen Bambi. Do you watch the mom die?
I mean,
off screen, yes, but also no. Kind of in the same way that
indirectly
Tarzan dies.
Yeah. Because as a child, I understood what happened to Clayton. I didn't, comprehend things that they happened off screen.
Sure. Also, can we just watch The Fox and the Hound? Because I really want to rewatch that movie.
It's the best Disney animal movie. I
Love it
love
so
it
much.
so fucking much,
Yeah.
and everybody
I
makes
saw-
fun of me for it because it's sad.
I saw a thing on TikTok where it's like the heroic moments of film or whatever, and it showed that, and it was like when the
Yeah.
fox comes to save the dog, and I'm like, or maybe the other way around.
Bear.
No, it was
it's
the fox saving the dog.
comes to save the dog from the bear.
Fights a bear, dude. He's like, let's
and
go.
throws him off some train tracks into a rushing river.
fine.
Fucking murks that bear.
Yeah.
Great.
They're both fine, maybe.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Anyway.
Oh, Chris.
I bet that fox that he
Yes.
falls in love with was people's sexual awakening too.
Oh no.
Like, I don't know. She bats her eyelashes in a way that I wouldn't be surprised if some dude out there was like, yeah, that was my sexual awakening.
The Riley Poole of the animal kingdom, if you will. Or maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. Okay.
Anyway.
So, you went and got something, Chris.
I did indeed. Because, you know, it means when you have the ability to do something, you have the responsibility to do something about it. And I'm going to steal it. I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence.
Oh my God, he stole it.
So, of course, I mentioned that my family lived in D.C., and I did, in fact, buy a replica of the Declaration of Independence.
Was it $35?
Whoa.
It was very expensive.
I like that all three of us went to the same place in different ways. Because you both at the same time, was it $35 as I go, did you try to steal it first?
Are you trying to steal that?
I guarantee you that has to happen too much. Someone just runs in, grabs one, and takes off.
So
Look, I'm Nick Cage.
I didn't intend to steal it, but I did film my dad. I wonder if my dad still has it. I'll have to see if I can if it's still on his phone. He did film a video of me running out of the building, like holding the Declaration of Independence, just sprinting down the road.
That's awesome.
Like I got down to the bottom of the stairs. I was like, and I started running some more.
Trips at the end.
A little bit of a more plot thing.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the opening of this movie?
Yeah.
And this
like the kid
John
one?
Adams, yeah, when he's a child, John Adams Gates, scaring the shit out of this kid. But I would also like to point out
such an unnecessary jump scare.
So unnecessary. And then he's like, you're ready to hear the story. Like they were in the mafia. Like this is like I'm about to tell you about all the men that like our family have ruined. Like something crazy. Tells the story, the kid's enthralled, of course he is. John Voight comes in and he's like, we're leaving, like it's nothing, like fuck off, I hate all of you. And then he looks at Ben, nods, and goes, say your goodbyes, and walks out like the grandfather's about to be murdered. like
or like they're never seeing him
about
again.
to come in. Yeah,
it was
so
an odd moment.
weird.
I agree.
Yeah.
Like,
but
are you gonna kill the grandpa? Like
Ben becomes a knight.
Christ, yeah.
Ben is knighted in that moment, and I'm like, cool.
I watched that and went, that's one of the things you do for your grandkids. That's one of the things where your grandkid looks up at you and goes, can I be a knight? And you're like, fine.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
What do I got?
What
can I figure out here?
I would say the treasure recaps, like whether it's be, national or in these movies, Indiana Jones, Uncharted, so dope getting that historical background of where treasures came from.
This movie is Da Vinci Code for children, and what's hilarious is some of the puzzles are actually. Sorry,
I had the exact same thing. I said it's Disney Da Vinci Code. That's what I almost always say.
I would argue some of the puzzles in this are harder than the ones in the Da Vinci Code.
I mean,
especially
Nick Cage
when you come down to the final solution. Like. I don't want to spoil the Da Vinci Code. That's not what we're spoiling. Like, it's not what the spoiler cast is. But the reveal in the Da Vinci Code was a little bit of a letdown. I'm not gonna lie, and Tom Hanks did not make it better.
I still like the Da Vinci Code. Full stop. I still enjoy that movie.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, not as much as National Treasure, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I don't think it's as fun of a sort of like a treasure hunt movie as National Treasure is, but it's still a good movie all the same.
Totally.
I did also just kind of want to throw another fun little personal anecdote in there too, because I mean this movie focuses a lot on the Masons as the society, like the secret society that put together this big treasure hunt essentially, or rather, it's so funny that the idea is like, hey, we got to keep this away from the British, but if they're smart enough, they could follow these clues to get there. So whatever. But My actual grandfather was a Mason. He was actually part of the Freemasons. He had the ring and everything, and it's so funny the way that he turned out because one, there's a lot of very inaccurate history throughout this movie, just inaccurate American history in a lot of ways, and two, I've never met a single Mason that was not a gigantic asshole. My grandfather included, and so it's so funny that they're like, "Oh, the Masons so cool, so into this neat organization." I'm like, "Yeah, they're two completely different things."
I am going to say this in the kindest way that I can because I don't want to shit on anyone, but Masons and the founding fathers had a lot in common, and it's why the Masons tend to be asshats.
Yeah,
also, there's a Masonic lodge up the block from me, and I joke about breaking into it all the time. To be like, what are your secrets? Also, for a long time, because of this movie, I thought Freemasons were like bad people, and that they were like, I don't know what, like, I had a kid, I remember being on the school bus and a kid telling me that we've had too many Freemason presidents and that's why America was going to end up being controlled by China. And I was like, I'm 10. Like, what's happening here?
Like, please, I don't need this right now. And so, it is kind of that thing to where, like, as adults, you kind of got to dissociate a little bit with, like, the way that they kind of talked about some of the founding fathers and the Masons and all that. But I don't think that necessarily draws from the quality of, like, the movie as a whole. Like, it's still a lot of fun. It's kind of a different thing. But I mean, IRL Masons, not great people.
Yeah.
In my personal experience.
However, the history.
Parties, the liquor flows. If you go to their fundraisers, there's liquor everywhere.
Yeah.
And it makes handling them so much easier.
The history in this movie, though, is just the way it's delivered by, like, Nick Cage or whoever's, like, delivering the line. Like, I think, Chris, you brought up a line earlier where it's like, last time this document was here, it was getting signed. And it's just the way Nick Cage delivers that line, he's like, he's geeking out. He's having a moment where he's like giddy about it. And I love that kind of delivery. I enjoyed that.
Oh yeah, there's that. And I also think of the scene where they use the water bottle to see the time on the $100 bill, and there's just that point to where it's like when he finally figures out what time it is, because he remembers that of course that building is on the $100 bill. It's like he turns to the and he's like, "You're gonna love this." Like I've always loved that line too, to where he's like kind of sharing that now, where he was like, "Check this out, this is gonna be really fucking cool." And then he has a great scene of like, "Can I get my $100 back?" And she goes, No.
My favorite
another fact really on that watch is like back in 2004 was worth like $8,500 or something crazy like that.
That moment you just brought up,
$4,800. Like, yeah, it was like way more than just $100.
Sure.
I am also going to throw out though that if Ben Gates was not friends with a few key people, he'd be a sociopath. Because
Nick Cage.
I have what?
He'd be Nick Cage, yeah.
Because like, and I'm gonna mention a few things in my example of this because I was thinking of this the entire movie. When they go to the Charlotte and they find the pipe, for a dig like that of unearthing
don't break
ship,
it.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
I do love that when he pulls the stem off and Ryan's like, "Don't break it."
I just feel for a dig like that, there should be more than like 10 of them. Like, I feel like that's also a dangerous place for there to be so few of them. Like, one of you could disappear into the horizon and we would never know what happened.
I mean, at one point, they essentially just punch a grave and it opens. I mean, he used something to do it, but still.
He used like a pickaxe, but...
Regardless.
Yeah. I feel like there should be more people here. And like, why did you and Ian just be like, okay, 10 of us are going to go to Antarctica into sub-zero freezing temperatures to maybe find a ship?
I think I think they do kind of touch on that a little bit, though. Yeah, just with when he goes to see, I can't remember the blonde woman's name, and I'm so sorry. Or at least her character's name.
Abigail Chase.
Thank you, Abigail. Yeah,
I knew it was
I was just gonna say Diane Kruger.
Yeah, I was about to call her Diane again. It's like when they first go to see Abigail. They rightly asked him, he's like, why Paul Brown? He's like, Gates' name doesn't really get a lot of respect. Like,
Ian's got money. Ian got bank.
Ian's got money,
He's
but
one of the few that did back him. That's what they talked about right at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's where most of his crew comes from is because of Ian.
Yeah, and that's always why, because at one point in the movie,
you would think Ian would know.
Ian has unlimited, he has unlimited resources and funds, and so I always just like, then why couldn't you have more people here?
Because the way I interpret that is that because Nick Cage's character is a Gates, they kind of lose themselves going for the treasure. So he doesn't look at it that way. He just looks at it as he's chasing a lead. And Ian, say what you want about him, there's a sliver of his personality that is similar to Nick Cage's character.
Oh yeah,
where he kind of appreciates history in a way. So I think they get along and they see that for the treasure for different reasons. But I think that's why they don't see it as going to sub-zero temperatures without a full crew. They just see it as we're following leads.
He just didn't want to go all in. He just wanted like, hey, here's just starting the breadcrumb trail, basically.
Yeah, like that was like they were basically friends up until Ian was like, okay, like let's go steal the Declaration, and Nick Cage was like, no. Like,
so I understand why there were so few people for those reasons. Mine is like, I want to live. Like, I want to return home after this. I don't want to die here. And like, it's so easy to die in the Arctic that I just like, I feel like somebody should have been like, hey, let's bring a medic and like tents.
Sure.
And whatever.
But yeah,
it's
Ben Gates' character is a little crazy. Like, and he probably keeps some of like the information, kind of proof to this. He keeps some of it to himself. Like, he doesn't always share all the information he knows. So he probably assumed he was going to ditch Ian at some point.
And then I just like, why was the first thing you jumped to stabbing yourself in the finger and just rubbing your blood on something?
I love that so
gross. B, gross. C, you might be getting gunpowder in that wound. You don't know what the fuck is on that thing.
You wanna know why?
Rub your finger on it?
Because when you're a kid, you're like, oh, that's cool. that's the exact reason.
I just love that they included a shot of Riley being like, ow.
What's that little knife in it twists?
I was gonna say, I mean, it was cool for 2004.
Do you think Nicolas Cage actually did it?
No.
Yes, 100%.
No.
Do you think he wanted
Absolutely,
to? That's the question.
They're like, Nick, we have a fake knife. He's like, no.
No. Like, what do you mean? Pulls one out of his back pocket. He's like, start the cameras.
I'm gonna carve my name.
So, before we get too much, I just want to say how incredible the score was in this movie. It was, there's so many times I'm like, because as a kid, you just don't realize how important a score is to a movie. Whereas watching this now, I'm like, yeah, this score was very underrated.
It's one of those things too where I hadn't watched it in a while, and as some of the themes were playing, I was kind of like humming to myself, and I was like, I didn't realize like how much of that I'd retained. And granted, I've seen this movie so many times, like throughout the course of my life. But I was sitting there, I was like, yeah, I think the soundtrack for that movie is really slept on.
Yeah,
it's good.
I want a prequel movie about Ian. Can we get Sean Bean to do that for Disney Plus? Like, I mean, I know he's old, but like, he's much older than he was when he was playing.
Just give me a third National Treasure at this point, honestly.
Well,
maybe Ian's out of prison.
We're getting the National Treasure Disney Plus series with Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Because there was supposed to be a third movie. For years, Nick Cage just kept talking about how the third movie was coming, and him and Jerry Bruckheimer were working on the third movie. And that was the first time I knew disappointment as a child, was that movie never fucking came. What?
No idea. Is Bruckheimer doing the show?
I have no fucking idea. I didn't know it was a thing until like a week ago.
I would have loved if Nick Cage was like, yeah, it's coming, and Jerry is like, what is he talking about?
What do you mean?
No.
He's like, bro, he said nothing to me.
He keeps saying it.
He just says some things that I'm like, I want to know what made you the person you are today, that you can go from being somebody's BFF to I'm going to steal the Declaration of Independence and shoot at this person. Like, and you take so many people hostage. You say that you know all these criminals. Like, how did you get here? Like,
yeah.
And I guess that's a testament to Sean Bean and how well he does as the character Ian and how interesting he makes him. But like, I watch him, I'm like, I want more from you.
I do like him as a villain too. If you want to go down that road, I think he's a really like I mentioned a little part of it before. Where like, there's parts of him that is like Ben Gates. Like, there's part of him that appreciates history in that way and wants to chase the threads. He doesn't have all the, because he did figure out the silence do good clue. He got that on his own. He did that himself. So like.
Well, that's because his dad owned the letters. So I mean,
not Sean Bean. I'm talking about Sean Bean's character.
Sorry,
how dare you, Alec?
Which is also again one of my favorite jokes to where he's like, gentlemen, why is this word capitalized? And someone's like, Because it's important.
Because it's a
when
name.
I was a kid, I called that. I don't care what anyone says. I was like, "Is it a name?" And they're like, "I'm a genius." Like I was like, "Yes!" I was so happy.
I can find the national treasure.
I can find the national.
I just want to say real quick before we move on from too far from this scene, when Ben and Riley are planning how to steal the Declaration of Independence, those transitions are so good.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they're so cool.
When like Riley fades in and then the background fades to what the Library of Congress, and then like you see the Declaration words fade onto them. Like, oh, so good.
I also love that that started as Riley being like, "I'm going to show you how this can't happen," and then he shows him the preservation
Something
room.
That shouldn't be done. It
He's
can't
like,
be done.
Oh my god, this looks possible or whatever. Oh, this can happen. And he's like,
this could work.
What do you think the preservation room is for? Jams and jellies.
Delicious jams and jellies.
His line delivery is so good.
Time. I think about that line all the time.
Oh man,
it's so good. I also, on the same vein of Riley, the way when Ben lights the flare while standing in gunpowder, and Riley goes, "Ben," is the way I yell at Jordan. That is the same tone of voice and expression I use when I go, "Jordan," to like get him to stop doing whatever he's doing.
So it's perfect.
And I've never related to a movie character more because I was like, I would end up being Riley to Jordan doing some dumb shit like this. And like, this is how I die. Like,
I also thought, like, I don't know how flares works. Maybe I'm just stupid, but when the dude catches it, wouldn't parts of it have like fallen onto the, you know what I mean? Like, wouldn't
100%
fragments?
They shoot sparks. Yeah.
Sure. I don't know.
Yeah, no, they should have gone up in flames way before that.
Yeah,
but on the other hand, it's like I did at least appreciate the kind of them establishing why Ian's hand caught fire, because they spend like 4 separate shots showing Ian pulling gunpowder out with that hand and sifting through it into all these things, and that wasn't something I noticed until now, where I was like, "Oh, you clever bastards! I never picked up on that. That's nice."
It's the shock of catch, because when he catches it, flame doesn't move the way solid objects do.
That's another moment where I like Sean Bean's character as the villain too, because he's like, "Oh, we'll both die if you shoot me. I drop the flare," and then Sean Bean's character is like, "What happens when the flare goes out?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Fuck."
He's like, he's got you.
I also give him credit that he caught it, because I wouldn't have.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like, I would not have caught that.
Juggling it.
I don't even think I would have thought to. Like, him just saying
it.
The shock of catch and throwing it, I don't think I even would have thought to like be like, I have to catch this.
My life on the line, I would have reacted and just kicked it, just punted it. Because whenever I drop my phone, for some reason my foot's like, and I like I hacky sack it.
Oh yeah, I make it 10 times worse by kicking my phone, and I'm like, why did I do that?
Yeah, I was like, getting a bit further into the movie, I want to talk about that Philadelphia chase scene, which might be my favorite part of the movie. When they're running,
right? Okay.
Yep, and that they have the line of "You can't be back if you're not meat. You can't be back here." It's like hiding from my ex.
She's like, he's like, "Honey, stay as long as you like."
Yeah. Loved it. Loved it. So good.
And it's just the music too, like because when he's leaving, or Ben Gates is like leaving Independence Hall, he's running down, and then the bus passes in front. He starts sprinting, and then the music kicks in.
Love it. Is that the same scene where Nick Cage just like punches someone or whatever? Yeah.
That's like the Nathan Drake punch.
Like, I love that. That was so good.
Which is also great because like punching people hurts, man.
Yeah, and he's not Nathan Drake. Like, it's very clear, like physique wise. Like he's fit-ish, especially for someone who mainly revolves around his like wits. But like in this movie, like
Alec called it.
Yeah.
Toucan. I have questions I would like to ask that take place a little bit earlier in the movie, but I want to ask this group specifically because I don't know shit about computers or like tech.
Is it about the cameras? Because none of that's possible.
Okay. Literally, this doesn't seem real. Ask tomorrow. Ask Alec tomorrow. I didn't know if that's possible.
Super not.
Because I was looking at it, I was like, this doesn't seem real.
Let's just put this all to bed right now. Literally everything they do to steal the Declaration of Independence, impossible.
The fingerprint thing in the bag is my favorite, though.
I made the joke to my fiance when we watched this together 2 days ago, and I was like, I bet you this is just a joke, but I bet you the real Declaration of Independence, like there's like one guard and it's in the closet. Like there's some guy named Bill who's just sitting there guarding it, and it's just locked away in a closet, and that's it. That's all the security.
Because again, of course, they're fucking manhandling the thing. They don't let you take flash photography of it anymore.
Sure.
Like you can't. Because again, it'll fall apart if you shine a light that's too bright on it.
Sure.
Like the fever sensors, those are real. They do really have heat sensors on it.
Yes, that
if
is
it gets
for
too
real.
hot, it will just disintegrate.
How intense of a laser pointer did they have to make that heat go up?
Yeah, how did
In
people
04,
not
this
see that? This is
in
one of my
04,
tech
this is
questions.
before laser pointers are regulated as hard
True,
as they are now.
true.
You know what I mean?
But still,
People went blind from that. You know, that was a thing.
That's also my favorite thing to do, where he's on the other side of the room, shining a laser pointer into the Declaration of Independence in front of someone.
Oh
and
yeah,
I'm like, how did no one
like,
call
there's
him
a
out on that?
beam, like shooting from across the room. And also, Riley must be a good sniper. I mean, he had that steady hand.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Thank you though for clarifying, because I there is some tech in this movie where I'm like, this could be possible.
No, and I love that he had like a straight up like flight stick to control it after he gets it in the thing too. I was like, yeah, no.
And then it has that little like surgery arm that comes out and just kind of grabs a pipe, and that's like
that is not how video feeds work. No,
you always need those. No. You always need those little arms. You need those.
That's not how video feeds
Why not?
Jordan, I told you that I had a recording. Sorry. I'll call you back later.
Jordan,
I love you. Bye.
Swear to God.
Jordan Deeb, my God.
Jordan
like, why are you calling me? We literally just talked about this.
But the Nick Scarpino, stop calling me.
Oh my God, I fucking missed that clip.
So,
all right.
Another line I just love is when they're in the or about to go into the treasure room. Is like, could it really be that simple? And he puts the pipe of the Charlotte in. Twisted it.
I don't like that. I thought that was too much of a coincidence thing. As a kid, I was all about it. I was like, oh my God, it was the secret lines with Charlotte. I get it. I don't know. I feel like you could have just turned the thing without that being in there. Like it had no consequence to the thing turning.
I think I think what makes part of like a cool like treasure hunt in a movie is having something that you learn at the beginning of the movie be relevant.
Totally. Narratively, I liked it. Just like on screen, I thought it was kind of lame.
Yeah, they wrote in that pipe and then realized they had kind of created a Chekhov's gun without meaning to, and like they had to use it at some point. So, you know.
My least favorite part
has got to be relevant somehow.
My least favorite part is how that like the police officer or the detective at the end happened to be somehow. Well, yeah, but he had that pin that like told that he was something else, right?
He's a Freemason.
The ring.
He had a ring.
He had a ring. Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. Like that seemed like too much for me as well, but maybe that's just me.
I love him though. He's fun. That man came in and was like, "I'm gonna play a New York City cop from the 1970s."
Oh yeah, he did the role.
Love it.
Him being a Freemason just seemed
Agent
far-fetched to me.
Yep.
What a name! What a name!
Yeah, what a guy!
It makes sense to me because it's not necessarily like relevant. I like that it kind of shows that it's like the Masons are kind of everywhere. You know.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know what line I love?
It seemed a bit much to me.
But I mean, it's really just kind of like one quick callback at the end of the movie to where it's like, yeah, you know, the Masons believed this, and then it pans down to see his ring, and I was like, they had a whole scene where they focus on the glasses when he's messing with them, where Benjamin realizes, there's more to the riddle, and we don't see the ring in that scene, but whatever.
Cool.
You know what line I love? When Ian's men, it's that whole cut of Ian's men being dope and breaking in, like the criminal way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the 90-second store.
Yeah, they get through the last door, and Sean Bean goes, "Well done, boys," and keeps walking, and it is so fucking funny. But like, if I were one of those henchmen, I'd be like, "Ooh, Dad just said I did a good job."
Oh, thanks. Like we were just talking about the glasses too. Speaking of great lines, just to the point where Abigail's like, you know, Benjamin Franklin invented something like these, and Benjamin just goes, I think he invented these. I love that. Like,
I don't mean to be a jackass, but like I think that's what we have. Like I don't really think someone else made the same thing.
And then I always love. I might have already talked about this, but Riley Poole's redemption moment where he's like, "I know something you guys don't." Is this what you guys feel like this all the time? Like, is this it? Let me just take a moment. And he's like, "Today, Riley," and he's like, "Daylight savings, blah blah blah." And then he's like, "Did you guys know the first person?" And they say Benjamin Franklin. And he's like. I love it.
Yep.
Probably my favorite part of the movie.
I also love Sean Bean has a great line during the van chase when they just steal the Declaration of Independence, where they're trying to get it away from his henchmen are trying to get it from Abigail, and Sean Bean yells out of the back of the truck, "Just bring her," and they just pick her up and carry her away. I'm like, yeah, just bring the human. Just
now,
fine.
Every now and then when I'm driving in the snow, I will use Riley's line during that chase where he's like skidding, skidding, skidding. Like it's just like that. The delivery of that immediately in my brain every time.
Yep.
Austin, what I'm about to say, I will gladly develop out and explain on Pitch It, but I want a Captain America movie that's just Steve Rogers doing National Treasure stuff. I don't want to see him fight bad guys. I don't want to see him fight.
He needs to have like a super smart historian with him, right? Because that's not his stick.
No, he's not intelligent, but I can give him.
That's not what I was saying.
Of stuff from when he was alive in his time, and he knows the answers because he was there.
Sure, yeah, I agree.
Like,
I just think
I feel like that's fun.
It needs some help.
Like I'm sure somewhere there is a National Treasure-esque story about, I don't know, the fucking Nazis that were brought here and how that wasn't actually a bad thing. And
I mean, they kind of go into that in the first Captain America, where like
but I don't get to see him
was hidden or whatever,
running into Mount Rushmore and like finding. Don't they find like a secret cat?
That's future spoilers.
That's yeah.
Come on, shush.
I thought I was making it up. I didn't realize that's what actually happens. I haven't seen the movie in a long time.
Future spoilers.
Which when I found that out.
Yeah, so it's so funny. I've seen the first one so many times. I think I've seen the second one like twice. I haven't seen it in years. I'm really excited to watch it for next week's episode. I do have to get going here soon, so I did have one more note
yeah, so we can wrap it up here pretty quick.
Yeah.
I did just want to touch on this because I find this one to be very important. Which, of course, at the end of the movie when Riley has that great line of his like, and here I am sitting and stinking 1%. It pans out to a Lamborghini. It's like a half of a percent, and he's like,
yeah.
And then Abigail's like, I made you something. And he's like, what is this, a treasure map? And he's like, what's it lead to? And she just kind of looks at him. That map leads to her butt. I'm positive of it.
I was about to say something else, but we can go with that.
No. I want it on record that Chris stated that he needed to say this thing. That was it. I did not think that was what he was going to bring up. What? Does it say butt?
I did see butt. I did see butt.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Hey, I mean, this movie is super sexual. I think we said it on the last recording, but when they breathe on the Declaration of Independence together, they might as well be fucking.
That was the moment where I was like, oh, I like women. Cool.
I also just in the a bit where it's just weirdly sexual sometimes. There's the point during the sequence when they're stealing the Declaration of Independence and Abigail comes down to the preservation room. She's typing in her passcode. And I guess like somebody else that works with her is just standing there, clearly just looking at her ass that whole time. And then she catches him and he looks up, and Anna was like, "Why is this scene in the movie?" What the fuck?
It's so weird. It's so sexual and so violent at moments. It's just like, all right, I see what you're doing. I'm into it. It seems a little dark, but like, all right.
Chris, you brought that code, and there's another good Riley moment where he's trying to figure out that code for Ben Gates, and he
fly gov
Ray.
Yeah, and then what was the actual answer? It was like
Valley Forge.
Valley Forge, and he's like, "That's not on my computer. it's not there."
He's like, "Yeah, you dumb bitch. You didn't write an algorithm that would allow letters to
touches the letters twice.
Press the L and E twice." Which also, it's hilarious. It's hilarious that Valley Forge is. I mean, obviously, that's a George Washington reference. I think it makes sense for her character because she collects George Washington campaign buttons. But as we were watching, I was watching with Britt, and she goes, "That would never be the password for that." She's like, "That would change like every week, and it would be random every single time." And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's." You don't get to create your own government passwords.
Well, did you see the part when they knock out the security guard and they put his thumb on? It pops up with his full name and his ID number, which is like not how that would not show on the screen.
Never.
We would not reveal that information.
Absolutely not.
And like, if I were breaking into a government computer, I feel like almost as a joke, one of my first guesses is going to be fucking Valley Forge.
Oh, 100%.
That's absolutely a joke. FBI, please don't come for
Nicolas Cage, enter. I'm in.
Right. One last thing I want.
Agent whose password is Nicolas Cage.
Oh, for sure.
Totally.
One last thing before we wrap up. I just want to say, What the heck was that shot of like Ben's dad when they got out of the treasure room and then he's just sitting there like has this like real creepy like grin on his face. It's like a couple frames, like blink and you miss it kind of a thing. But if you go back and watch that scene, he's just sitting there.
They're not even referencing him, and he's just sitting there.
Yeah, it's just a quick shot cut to him. It's like
one of those things where he just wasn't given direction in a scene, and he's just like,
it's just John Boyd. It's just B-roll footage of John Boyd.
Yeah. But it's just like this real creepy, just like blank stare.
John Boyd is creepy. His
weird.
mouth makes me so uncomfortable.
There's one line.
And weird and very Republican.
Totally.
He's crazy.
There's one line that wasn't said by Riley, or it was said by Voight's character. He's like, he tied me to a chair. Like, just like I love that line. I just think that the first delivery of you would tell me, right? He tied me to a chair. Like I love it.
Tied me to a chair.
Also that to where it's like, at least I had your mother first. It's like, what do you have? Him, and it cuts to Riley sitting there like chewing on a piece of pizza. He's like, what?
Looks like a rat. I also love that line because it makes it sound like the mom died.
Yeah.
Like it's straight up like for however short a time. Yeah.
Future spoilers. Future spoilers.
I'm saying she's into. I didn't say anything about it.
She's not dead. Like that was like however little I had her. That makes it sound like the mom like tragically died on a treasure hunt.
I did think that last night.
Yeah, doesn't that kind of contradict what he said? Because she leaves him because of the thing, right? Because he goes crazy looking for the anyway, never mind.
Yeah, but we don't know that in this movie. He's just like, at least I had your mother for however short a time. That's just the full stop of the sentence.
Yeah.
And like it's like what happened to her that you are so angry about? Like what happened to you that you are so angry?
And we'll find out next week when we watch National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and let us know what your favorite part of this movie was. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Albuquerque.